there, everyone. We've just gone live, and we're recording now because we were doing a hangout, just having a bit of a chat, and a topic came up that we felt was sort of important, which is the debate that's happening right now about attraction to somebody who's a trans woman or a trans man, and some of the misrepresentations of what it means to be attracted to a trans person that have been going on in social media lately. So would someone that's not me want to summarize kind of what we've been talking, well, at least summarize the issue? Maybe we could talk again about Laci's appearance and some of the things that she's claimed have been said and what has actually been said. So would you mind doing that?
Okay, I can do that. So it's something that's been going around on Twitter, and basically one point Laci made in one of her videos about gender was the idea that they are crazy trans people or trans activists who say that you have to be attracted to trans people, otherwise you're a bigot. Right? That's this kind of argument that's been going around in anti-feminist spaces, and Laci picked up on it, and she mentioned it in her video, and in her interview with Dave Rubin, she also mentioned it. Like, these are crazy activists. You know, surely you're just attracted to what you're attracted to. You can't change, you know, how you function sexually. You know, what attracts you, what turns you on, what doesn't, what you like. And so, you know, that's obviously something that is just a crazy trans activist position, because they want to, you know, change society and make everyone think like them, or they're bigots. But the actual issue at hand is not about that. And Zinnia Jones and other trans activists have made this point. I think Riley Dennis also made this point in one of her videos and was called out by Bering or other people in videos against her, that the issue is not just what your attraction is. It's the issue that a lot of people, when they come in contact with trans, especially trans women, and most often no one talks about trans men in this context at all, but trans women often meet straight people straight guys who are attracted to them and maybe want to date or want to get to know them, and they have a problem because they're suddenly attracted to someone and that person doesn't have the genitals or whatever else that are expected, and so they react by feeling, is this an attack on their heterosexuality? You know? And trans women, you know, from what I've seen, read the stories, or even the research on it, Zinnia Jones has made a few videos on this and articles. It's a basic problem if trans people are seen as attacking your sexuality by their very existence, just because they have different genitals or whatever else. And so there's in the US there's this trans-panic defense which gets used in court when a heterosexual man attacks a trans woman, and he can say, oh, I didn't know she had these genitals, and suddenly, you know, I'm not gay, so I was suddenly panicked into what I did. But the general point is that, you know, you can't change what genitals you like or what you don't want to do in bed, but it's just a fact that a large number of people who are otherwise in all other respects heterosexual, men, especially men only attracted to women, are also attracted to trans women. And that's just a fact. They're not gay in any other way. They're not attracted to men, to beards, to muscly guys in the gym or anything else. They're attracted to trans women. And so this kind of thing, which is basically one of the problems with what Laci is doing and how she's talking about trans issues, is it conflates things which seem to a sort of a general audience to be, this isn't that important, but in actual fact, then, and in actual real life situations, then trans women are attacked or, you know, berated, whatever, just because of their genitals, and just because someone is confused and doesn't want to be labeled as gay or doesn't want to have their sexuality attacked. So I think that's a good summary.
I think that was a fantastic summary. And then I was wondering if maybe I could come to Jody next for your thoughts on this topic, and then Ted, and then Ashley, and then I'll give mine last. And then maybe too, if we could just mute ourselves while everybody else is on there, just for any background noise. So yeah, Jody, do you want to give us your thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, sure. Oh god, it's all gone silent and now it's scaring me.
We're still here. We're still
here. I know. Yeah, I just find it kind of ridiculous how people think that if you're attracted to a trans man who happens to have a penis, you're automatically gay. Like, most of the time, well, not most of the time, but a lot of the time, you wouldn't really know if they're a trans woman or not just by looking at them. Like, sometimes they may not, like, pass, if that makes sense, but, like, a lot of the time when I've met, like, some trans women, I've been, like, surprised when they've told me that they're trans. And, like, if you're surprised that they're trans and you think that they're, like, a cis woman, why would that make you gay? Like, just because they happen to have a penis, it doesn't make you gay. And if you do find out that they have a penis and you don't want to be with someone with a penis, then that's fine. That's totally fine. But at first looks and first, like, attraction, you don't know unless you've been told. So it just kind of, it pisses me off when people are like, oh, I would never date a trans person because I'm not gay and blah, blah, blah. It's just like, well, obviously, like, you're not gay for liking a trans person. Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm just rambling now, I think.
No, it's fine, it's fine. I don't know if you can hear it. We've got Kona Lishta going on now. It's the Festival of Lights. There's fireworks in my background, so that's why I'm muting myself. But yeah, so Ted, thanks for that, Jody. I appreciate your thoughts on that. And Ted, you're up. So your thoughts and reflections.
I was thinking about this the other day, and if I was going in a few dates with a woman and she suddenly said, oh, did you know I'm trans? I'll be honest, I don't quite know how I'd react, but I'd like to think I'd see if I were comfortable with it. And I thought it's like a parallel when I'm doing online dating and I tell the woman I'm thinking of meeting up with I have cerebral palsy. They've never been in that situation, but they've given it a go. So I like to think if a woman I was dating said, oh, just so you know, I have a meter to veg, as it were, I like to think I would say, okay, never been here before, I don't know how I react. I want to see how I feel, and I don't understand why all these anti-fems seem to be spouting all this bullshit designed to turn you against trans people.
I think those are really great points, and I'm going to build on them when I come to mine. But yeah, I don't want to cut you off. Was that pretty much the substance of what you wanted to say?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Thank you.
I think so.
Yeah. Hey, you're up, Ash.
Okay. Excuse me. I'm balancing my microphone on the complete works of H.G. Wells.
Nice.
My whole perspective on this, maybe it's just because I'm actually bi, and I don't know, I don't really, I mean, if I say I was dating a guy and he said, oh, by the way, I'm trans, I don't have a penis, I have a vagina, and I'd just be like, no, all right. I don't know that I'd be expecting either way, personally, but that's my perspective. My whole thing with this is something I found particularly frustrating when having these conversations with people on social media, like these edgelords, basically. I've been just trying to say, like, one in particular, who I don't want to name, he's like trying to make some argument that, like, okay, like, you want men to be okay with dating trans women, so you want men to be bi, and it's like no, because if a man was attracted to cis women and trans women, he wouldn't be bi, he would still be straight. It's like trans women are women, trans men are men. I don't get what's hard about this. And that's I really, I don't get what's so difficult to understand about this, and it's just I think it does go back to, like, there I don't even know if gay panic has completely gone away, because, like, I think trans panic has elements of that. Like, they like, cis men don't want to be attracted to trans women because they think it means they're gay. It's like, no, it doesn't. It's like, and what would be wrong with that anyway? So I don't know. I guess we still have a lot of work to do, pretty much.
Yeah. One of the things that came up off air, which was 8DX's point that I wanted to unpack a bit more, which was this idea that the whole point of having these discussions is to reduce violence, because violence especially against trans women, is a massive issue. And I don't know if you guys saw the last episode of This Week in Stupid Misogynist that I did, but I featured this story that there have been 12 trans women of color murdered in the U.S. so between January and June of this year. It's like one every 3 weeks. And this issue of when a straight man meets a trans woman and doesn't realize that she's trans and is attracted to her, and then finds out the problem of a violent reaction to that, or having a friendship with a trans woman and feeling attracted but also being confused, and that ending up in anger. This becomes down to the core issue of the P word, patriarchy, and very narrow and homophobic notions of what it means to be a quote-unquote real man. Now, I'm not saying that all of these trans women of color were murdered because of this. I don't know the circumstance of every single murder, but it is a pattern, and we know that gay people of color are the most vulnerable for this kinds of violence. Okay, yeah, so do you want to jump in on this before you go then? And you can kind of take over and make your points, and I'll build on them.
Yeah, just one thing was pretty cool on Twitter, with Zinnia Jones being sort of let back on the platform. She was away from Twitter a long time, and then she came back and started dealing with this issue and responding to Laci. And one thing was she a lot of sort of anti-SJW whatever trolls, on Twitter, like, suddenly found out that she has a porn site, right? And we're sort of retweeting among each other, like, look, like, this is amazing. Look what she's sticking up her backside, and her response to that was like, this is me, I'm a trans woman. I wanted to research all the issues, and trans sex workers told me, you don't do sex work, so you can't talk about this. She said, okay, I'm starting my own porn site, and here I am. And it's like her site got a huge uptick and new subscribers after this whole thing went down. It's like all these trolls like, oh wait, oh, I'm straight, but that's
Suddenly I'm finding myself very sexually aroused. I might need to rethink
Yeah.
this whole I'll never date trans women position I've espoused. Yeah, there's a little, well, it's kind of like the whole thing about the U.S. South being the highest consumption of gay porn anywhere in America. You know, the Bible Belt, Mississippi, Alabama, all those states are watching quite a lot of gay porn.
A lot of closeted people down there, it seems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know, the same thing with people who haven't been exposed to, you know, might not have known if a woman was a trans woman. Realizing, to Ashley's point, was I'm attracted to things, you know, the female form, right? And kind of what the genitals are is not just what a woman is. So there's a lot of other things that go into it. Yeah, in terms of the aesthetic, you know.
Okay, gotta go. Bye.
All right, thanks for your contribution.
Be great.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, for the rest of us, we can go off air now, or if there's another topic, or if we want to continue on this one.
I don't know.
Well, since there's a bit of awkward silence, if something doesn't come up in the next couple minutes, then I'll go ahead and we can log off. So anyone on the issue of, sorry not to kind of bring it back to a downer, but yeah, this issue of having this conversation is important because it's about destigmatizing learning that someone is a trans woman or a trans man, right? And because of that cultural, the toxic notions of what masculinity is in terms of setting it of straight versus gay. Real men are straight, and real men wouldn't be gay. So if we eliminate that assumption, then we eliminate the threat to the masculinity, which requires no response then in violence to reassert it. Does that all make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
When people say about gay men not being masculine, I think of Omar in The Wire. He's one of the most masculine, macho characters you know. So macho, he fucks men.
Yeah, Omar be Omar.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, isn't there like this thing where it's like, gay men aren't like masculine and they're all like effeminate and stuff, and they're just like little boys kind of thing. But then, like, some kind of manly men who are straighter than straight and go to the gym all the time say like, oh, but sometimes they get scared to shower in the gym because there might be a gay man in there. Like, you can't have it both ways. They can't all be like weak little nobodies and also in the gym getting buff. Like, it just doesn't add up. Their arguments never add up. It's always like a double standard kind of thing.
Well, my thought on that is the best advice that I would have for guys who are worried about going in the shower because there might be gay men there that would look at them or have any kind of sort of, you know, a phobia of being around gay men for fear of them finding the guy attractive is, one, you're not all that probably. I mean, seriously, you know.
Exactly. That was actually making me think of.
The second point, which is, then I'll let you can respond to both of them. And the second point is, yeah, well, if you kind of feel weird with men leering at you, welcome to what it's like to be a woman.
Yeah,
Indubitably.
So yeah, sorry, Ashley, what you're gonna say?
It's kind of similar to like when I tell certain people that I'm bi. Like sometimes women will be like, "Oh, I don't care if X woman is like lesbian or bi, as long as she doesn't hit on me, part of me just wants to look them up and down and be like, don't flatter yourself.
Yeah, it's like, just because I'm bi doesn't mean that I immediately am attracted to every single man and woman that there is. Like, I have standards.
Exactly. People don't think that I have standards also because I'm, plus size, and like plus size women aren't allowed to have standards for some reason.
Oh, yeah, no, I get that a lot. It's like, oh, you should be thankful that anyone's interested in you. It's just like, no, I should be thankful if the person that I'm interested in is interested in me, not if
Exactly.
any random person out there happens to be attracted to me.
Well,
Like, just because I'm plus size doesn't mean that I'm not desirable.
the first thing that leapt to my mind would be to turn around and say, wow, when you say things like that, you should be really grateful that anybody would ever be attracted to you.
Yeah, I might use that one next time.
Please do.
Perhaps.
Oh.
But yeah, so the issue basically is, if you, sorry to bring it back again, if you have the conversations and you destigmatize attraction to trans women, then, like what Ted was saying earlier, you meet someone, you're attracted to them, you give her your number, you text a little bit, you meet up for coffee, and then on the fourth or fifth date, when it comes up, you're in a different place than just staying on Twitter, oh, I would never date a trans woman. Suddenly she's got a name, she's got a personality, she's made you laugh, you guys have like had a mutual attraction. I don't really know in the course of dating when that's appropriate to bring up, but at some point, the person is a person, then she's right there in front of you. And yeah, hopefully, even if you decide, what, that's not something I could do because maybe like we said, you might find out somebody doesn't want kids and you want kids. That's going to be a deal breaker. Things happen in relationships, but the way to react is not to get angry or to freak out or to get violent. And that's what I think Laci's not helping with at all.
Yeah, definitely. She seems to have gone full turf. And it's kind of disgusting.
But is she just doing it for clicks? We don't know.
She's a little old to have the I'm just doing it to impress the boy excuse, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's still, I think, fundamentally irresponsible to sort of spread around misinformation that, people are making these assertions that aren't, or taking a real extreme position of somebody maybe in a debate on Twitter, and making that look like that's a pretty common view for people in this group.
Yeah,
and that's where it promotes the phobia.
Yeah, and saying stuff like, oh, all radical feminists have this view, and like lumping every feminist into this view that like you have to be attracted to someone with certain genitals. Like, it's just like, well, no. And like deliberately misinterpreting tweets and stuff to try and push her agenda. It's just getting a bit old now. Like, how old is she? Like
27, I think.
Yeah, it's just sad. Pretty sad.
Yeah. I actually wanted to point something out. The other day on Twitter, she apparently was trying to reconcile. She used the word reconcile different groups of feminists, namely TERFs, with other forms of feminism. And I pointed out, I replied to her. I pointed out this very simple reality: you can't reconcile them because they're diametrically opposed. It's like you can't. It's like you have to pick either to stand with feminists who support trans women or feminists who are anti-trans. You can't have both. That's not how it works. I think a lot of this just kind of reeks of she wants to be liked, and like unfortunately that leads to a lot of just cowardly fence sitting, basically.
Yeah, there's a whole issue there about how feminism gets discussed as presented as there's sort of radical feminists and liberal feminists, and it leaves so much out like Marxist feminists and environmental feminism and all different kinds of approaches that exist in addition to the ones that are dichotomized. And I don't think she said those were the only ones, but you know, if she would have, she could have also explored it from other ranges about whether or not, you know, like Marxist feminism doesn't really speak to that issue very much because it's more concerned about labor and the roles and the kind of labor associated with the roles of the sexes. But yeah, it kind of spreads an overly simplistic view. It's still pop. It's still very much pop feminism. It's not very deep, in my opinion.
Very, this is the basic concept and this is all that there is, so there you go, rather than this is the basic concept, now let's explore it deeper and actually figure it out.
Oh, we got your background sound. Did you want to jump in there? 8DX? Oh, okay. I'm going to just mute you because you're really super loud. All right. Okay. I'll put the control pad up. But, oh, one of the things that I noticed was that on her first video, she had references. But on the second one, she didn't cite any sources or give any outside reading or play any other videos or link any other videos, and I was pretty disappointed by that. Still there. Okay.
That's common shitlord tactic.
Yeah, and I think if you want to talk about an issue, it requires more than sort of polling people on Twitter and having a few conversations. You know, there are academic works on this. There are theoretical frameworks. And I guess, maybe that's just not her bag, but again, because she's having these conversations, it's bringing attention to this issue, and she could be having this conversation in a way that reduces violence against trans women and trans men, but obviously this is another area where women are disproportionately affected, right? Even if it's, trans women, they're more likely to be subjected to violence. So why not be part of the solution?
And especially since she's such a big YouTuber, like she's got such a big platform, her message reaches to so many people. Like, you should be careful with what you say and not just go off Twitter polls and stuff. Like, yeah, make some tweets that go off Twitter polls, but not like a 2-part video and like not really explore properly what's going on. Like, with such a big platform, you have to be careful, and even if she doesn't mean it to be such a big deal, it's turned into such a big deal because of that.
Yeah, I guess, has she done her Blair White hangout debate thing yet? Or is it still to air?
I think she has, but I haven't watched it because it's like 3 hours long, and I haven't had time.
My question is, do they spend more time talking about the murdered trans women of color since the start of 2017, or what happened in that hotel room?
Hotel room?
You know what happened in VidCon with the whole drama of like Blair and the camera and
no.
Oh, you didn't hear about that?
I have no idea. I think
All right, well, we'll push that to the end of this conversation for a drama bit. But basically, were they discussing issues of life and death to trans women in that hangout? That's what I would want to know.
Yeah.
Unlikely.
I probably will watch it at some point, but I just can't right now.
Yeah, Ash, did you want to say something?
I think it's pretty unlikely, and I think really just it's kind of a bigger problem with these channels. It's like, if there are obviously really serious issues going on, but like these channels only bring up those issues to make light of them or misrepresent them, and it's just, I hate to keep bringing up her boyfriend, but I remember when I did a video response to his video, I think the video was entitled "Climate Change is Racist" from back in September. And it's like, environmental racism is actually a problem. It's like, it's not just the London airport. It's
He doesn't. Saying environmental racism is not saying the environment is racist. Do these people not speak English? Honestly, seriously, do you not speak English?
Part of me wants to believe he was just dropped as a child and doesn't know any better. But
honestly, I can't even like fathom the mindset that would think that modifying a noun is the same. I can't do the sentence construction. It just boggles my mind. Anyway, sorry, I interrupted you.
It's all right. But it's like, it's a really serious issue, and it's not just the London airport, which was what he was addressing. It's, well, in the United States, it's like there's industry, and there's slaughterhouses, factory farms that are in close proximity to rural and urban communities of color, predominantly communities of color, but although the rural areas are usually Appalachian, and there's a lot of runoff, air pollution that affects these families, lowers property values, and leads to all sorts of just bad stuff. And it's like, yeah, it's like, and it's a serious issue, and it's like if you can't be bothered to do research on an issue, that's fine, but don't make a video about it. Don't speak about it.
For people who don't know, environmental racism says that the way that we take care of our environment is influenced by social factors, including racism. And that's precisely what Ash was saying, that, you know, you don't find toxic waste dumps near gated communities. You know, you don't have the pipelines running through Manhattan skyscrapers, you know, so basically, if you've got money, you live in a much nicer place. And it's not, you know, when you have pollution, you look at Oklahoma, the whole state of Oklahoma is kind of, I'm sorry, it's kind of a shithole. Sorry, guys, it is. And you've got fracking going on there, and it's creating earthquakes, and people's houses are breaking apart. And you know what? Nobody gives a crap, because the oil corporations are so powerful, and they're making money off of this fracking, and they're going to destroy it, the local place, with a lot of these poor people, white and black. And then when all the stuff that they want is gone, they're going to leave the mess behind. And then it's going to be up to the taxpayers, either federally or at the state level, to try to pick up the pieces. So, but that's just like the whole economic sense. But you're right, the people who are more likely to be poor, also, there's a nexus there with racism, because people who are not white don't have as much political credibility, right? Because at least white people can have, you know, they can lobby their white government, and they get a little bit more, taken a bit more seriously. But people of color, especially in Republican areas, they're just seen as Democrats. They're not going to get heard. And it ends up with shortened lifespans, housing values going down, health problems, all kinds of stuff. It's not something to be joked about. And I'm sorry to kind of have gone on off on a rant here, but this is literally life and death situations here.
It's like, it's that these people are just privileged enough. Yeah, I know they hate that word, but you know what? They can just grow up and get over it. They're privileged enough that these aren't problems for them, so they can just be like, oh, I don't have to learn anything new about it. I don't have to question my assumptions or things I might support. It's like, I don't have to change because I got mine, so screw all you. And people, I get so tired of it being excused with, oh, but he's just a kid. He's just a kid. He's like 23 years old. He's an adult. It's like, if you can't be responsible for the adult things you say, then shut up.
Go on Wikipedia. Seriously, all he would have had to do was literally read a Wikipedia entry and a couple of the links at the bottom, and he wouldn't. Exactly. Nobody would make that title of the video then, unless it was to point out how stupid it was. You know, as clickbait, basically. Yeah. But there was one thing before we moved off the Laci thing. If we wanted to talk about the drama at VidCon and the hotel room, that was the liberal ogre Philip Rose on his channel. I put the link in like the group chat. Sorry for all the background noise. But he did a video to Laci Green about SJWs. Did anyone have a chance to watch it before they joined the hangout?
No.
I watched some of it.
I watched. I had it playing. I just didn't pay much attention to it. I was doing something else.
Yeah. So Ted, of what you saw, what did you think?
Yeah, I agreed with everything you said, really. But typical YouTuber started flicking on other videos over his, so everything's blended into one.
Yeah.
In
So
my head.
yeah, so with the summary of the video is he picked up on Laci's tweet that SJWs are about censorship and harassment and pseudoscience, something along, and a few other sort of ad homs at the term SJW. And he said, well, just so you know, Laci, I work with a couple SJWE groups, and he talked about the ACLU that's fighting against some right-wing policies that would push, I think it was abstinence-only education, which is totally pseudoscience in the classroom. And he used another example too of a progressive, it was a journalistic group that was working to protect journalists' right to report in the face of Trump, or who had journalists arrested on the day he was inaugurated, or there were journalists arrested for covering his inauguration, and the various attempts in states to make it illegal or make it more criminal to participate in mass protests. And so he basically said, you seem to have a few interactions with people in the minority, but I wanted to let you know that you're missing this whole big thing over here because you don't seem to know it. And I thought it was a really great video.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should go back and rewatch it. I think, yeah.
I'll definitely give it a watch either tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah.
But isn't it like the big problem with shit load away? There are a lot of people out there who want to hear. People want to see. The left are too sensitive. That it takes someone to say that and do fuck all research that everyone laps it up and believes them.
Well, and on a sort of slightly related matter, I think, was it the case in that, because I haven't seen it because I've been working on videos or not working on videos and trying to relax.
Yeah.
But there's, Laci Green said something that Sargon doubted her sexual assault in the Dave Rubin interview.
What?
But she forgave him as if it was nothing.
Yeah. She was super serious with Dave there, says 8GX in the comments. Yeah, I was just like, I couldn't believe that because, I mean, when she's complaining about the kickback she's gotten from people on Twitter, and she's also basically tried to accuse 2 people of doxing her and then withdrew those, and we don't talk about that anymore. She's behaved very poorly toward a lot of people. She called somebody a psychopath on her Ask FM, where a lot of people read her comments. And so she's behaving in very bad ways, and she's complaining about the kickback she's getting from people who she calls SJWs. But I don't know if any of them compared her to Hitler, as Sargon did, or sexualized her by putting her breasts as basically the screen of the thumbnail on his video, or question her sexual assault. And if that's wrong, other people can correct me, but I'm just flabbergasted that she's somehow embracing him literally and figuratively, and then at the same time pretending like what the criticism she's getting now is the worst thing that's ever happened to her.
Yeah, like she seems to have forgotten everything that these anti-fems have said and done towards her. Like, she's now just buddy-buddy with them all, and then has turned against her feminist friends, it seems, anyway. But, like, it just going on, like, Kevin Logan's Descent of Manosphere series, with the almost inevitable bit about Laci Green, like, it's right there, like, everything that's been said about her, and now a lot of these people she's buddying up with, and I just don't get how you can be friends with someone who has said so much shit about you. Like, it just, I can't wrap my mind around it. Like, I know there's the whole forgive and forget type thing, but there was so much for so long. Like, I don't know how, A, she can trust them, and B, just how she can be friends with them. It just blows my mind.
Oh, maybe she's eaten up that line about this is the nature of the internet. It's shit posting. Maybe she believes that now.
Well, I think my impression, at least, because I have to say, I'd never subscribed to Laci Green. Like, I'd seen parts. I've seen more of her videos, like, other people's videos quoting her than I've ever sat down and watched. So, not a Laci Green expert. But at least it seemed before, when she was doing her pop feminism and her sex education, her goal was to get people to have good sex and to be more accepting about their sexuality and who they are, and also who other people are when they're being true to themselves, and to talk about issues that maybe in Christian households or religious conservative households it was taboo and people were looking for information. I don't understand, and I admire that. I mean, it might have been a little bit, aimed well below my age range, but at least it had a societal, it would improve people's lives, But I don't know what she's doing now. I don't understand what her motivation is now. She says she wants to open up dialogues and have debates, but who is this benefiting now?
Yeah, because, like,
Her.
I have been subscribed to her for years. Like, she was the first feminist YouTuber I came across, and, like, her content was kind of aimed towards my age when I first subscribed to her. So I, like, from the age of, maybe 16 or 15, maybe? I don't know how long ago. But I was, like, growing up watching these videos and thinking, like, oh yeah, this is a pretty cool person. Like, I agree with a lot of what she's saying, and, like, yeah, we should be talking about sex. And, like, she was actually one of the reasons, like, one of the main influences for why I wanted to start a YouTube channel, because I'd grown up with such good content aimed at my kind of age, and it made me want to do this. Well, part of the reason anyway. Like, there are other YouTubers out there as well, but we're talking about Laci at the moment. But, like, yeah, like you said, I don't know what her aim is at the moment, because it seems to be a complete U-turn to what she was. I mean, I get people evolving their channels and, like, evolving their ideas and stuff, and I mean, like, any decent person is constantly evolving and stuff, but, like, it just seems so far away from what she was originally about. And, like, up until the taking the red pill video, I was a subscriber. I mean, I'm still subscribed because I just want to see how it plays out, I guess. But, like, I was watching, like, every video up until the taking the red pill video, and that just kind of came at me like, whoa, what the hell just happened? Like, this is just weird. Like, it doesn't flow with what she's been about for years. And yeah, I mean, I guess as a long-time subscriber, it just kind of confuses me, because yeah, I saw her as this pretty decent person, and now she's throwing people under the bus and buddying up with the type of people who have, like, dogpiled me and stuff, and it's just all like, what the hell is going on? Like, sorry to take over the conversation a bit there, but
No.
yeah.
I hadn't heard from a fan, so I know 8 DX is unlimited battery and wants to talk a bit here.
Sorry.
No, Jody, that was great because, like I said, I don't hear the fans' perspective, so I learned a lot. Thanks.
Yeah, so back on, just wanted to say, okay, feedback.
Yeah, if everyone can mute themselves, that'd be great.
Okay, so one thing, I'm like a long-time subscriber of Laci, and she's done lots of good videos. One thing she said to Dave Rubin was that there's been no like big change. She's always been this person that she's now showing in a different way in her new videos, and like kudos to people who've pointed that out, who weren't surprised by the first red pill video and weren't surprised about that. One thing that she did say was that her main problem was basically with people coming in as feminists or within this kind of SJW community and calling people out when they make bigoted statements or make mistakes. Like the example she gives to Dave Rubin was the same one as before, with the trans activists calling her out for use of the T word, and they have like a tee-hee moment with Dave Rubin, like he can say it, but she's not gonna say it because he's gonna get
tranny.
Yeah, like that.
That's basically the response you get from a lot of people. Is like, I can say the word. So funny, I can say the word.
Yeah, I can say the N word as well, but I don't, because it's not a good thing to do.
I mean, you can say whatever fucking word you want, even made up words.
Oh, did we still got him, or did we lose him?
I'm not sure. And it would not let me join with my streaming profile, so here I am under my personal profile.
Yeah, it looks like he got stuck. So sadly, we won't know the end of that point.
Or maybe he's just doing a dramatic pause.
So, oh, there you're back. Okay, so yeah, finish your thought, and then yep. So since he's on limited battery, Rose, we're just gonna let him talk.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll fuck off afterwards. Was the basic problem she has is getting called out and getting called a bigot. That's a problem for her. It's not like, okay, I'm in a different community or among different people than I'm used to talking to, and they think what I said is bigoted. So she doesn't say, okay, I have to re-examine my own, prejudices, what I'm doing wrong, how I'm talking about it wrong. No, she says, this is an attack on me, and it's basically what she's been doing is saying that any pushback against her in the past has been because these oversensitive people. And I just like recently found out about this thing, like this idea of left-wing people complaining about identity politics, and that is exactly it. It's like she's doing her one thing, her feminist part of feminism, which is sex education, and any other connection to other issues and people calling her out for getting things wrong is part of the attack on her. And she also associates that with all the attacks she's been getting in the past. So now she's saying like, oh well, I hugged Sargon, and I'm I got this boyfriend, and I'm fine with Andy Worski and other people, and now I haven't got this huge pushback that I had in the past. All these trolls are leaving me alone. They're leaving me nice comments. They're very welcoming. It's great, So why can't we all be like that? Why can't we all just sort of, hug and disagree or agree to disagree, and it'll be fine.
White feminism. That's classical white feminism, which is I can join this group and be accepted by making a modicum of change. Why can't everyone be like me? Well, you know what? Because trans women can't occupy that space. Trans men can't. People of color can't, because they all, it's just so. This is the thing that what kind of makes me is it wouldn't matter to me if I met a whole bunch of feminists who were shitty to me. My feminism is not about how much people like me or praise me. If it was, I would not be doing this because I don't get tons of praise on YouTube, you know, but what I do have are principles. And I believe in them. And if people are going to call me names, that's not going to change my principles. And it's certainly not going to change who I defend and advocate for.
Yeah. Yeah, like feminism, it's not there to be liked. It's there to push back against injustice and stuff. And yeah, as you said, oh, no, carry on.
Take that out of context.
Oh,
yeah, they probably will take that out of context. But no, it's a good. Actually, I think it should be on a T-shirt. Feminism is not here to be liked.
Well, I mean, that is true. It's not here to be liked. It's here to push for people's rights, whether you like it or not. It's here to say, respect us. I mean, I really hate the LGBT people who, like these white gay people who think that everything's about being allowed to assimilate when it's not. It's about being respected as who you were before by society. It's about respect. It's not about quality in the sense that like people will try and like straw man it to be and then say, well, I'm actually for equality, I'm for legal equality. No, it's about respect and it's about fixing systemic issues.
Right, well, it's also... Oh, sorry, who was going to talk? Go ahead.
Oh, no, you carry on.
Oh, I was just going to say, what it really comes down to is about protecting the status quo. There's a lot of lip service to, yes, you know, you're right. You know, people shouldn't fear being shot by the police because they aren't white and driving or walking down the street in America. But can we just leave everything the way it is? Like, I acknowledge that's, you know, oh, yeah, that's an issue, that's a problem, but not actually fundamentally changing the structures. You know, talking about, yes, it's very important to have women's representation, but if there's one woman on a board of 20 people, that's representation. We don't actually have to change anything. And, you know, when feminism or any other racial equality group comes and says, no, it's actually not enough to just agree with us. We have to change things. Then people get upset.
Yeah, and like, oh, sorry, Ashley, were you going to say something?
Just that... Unfortunately, this kind of mindset I see in community I'm very active in on YouTube, the vegan community, there's a lot of reactionary sentiment there. Like, a while back, a vegan I used to be subscribed to and used to follow because of her great like anti-pseudoscience work, a natural vegan. She made these like really just kind of tone-deaf videos. Like the first one was why I'm not an intersectional / social justice vegan, which, you know, that's fine, except she basically totally misrepresented intersectionality, and I left a rather lengthy comment just calmly explaining, no, you misunderstood intersectionality, and it's this, and it's this. Here's the Wikipedia page, and I recommend you come to my channel because I've made videos about it. And I don't even, and then she just kept making follow-ups that were equally tone deaf, even more so. The second intersectionality video she made, she even said that as vegans, we even need to work with racists, and she cited the first women, the women's suffrage marching, like that marginalized Black women, as like a source, inspiration for that, because like she said the ends getting the vote justified the means marginalizing Black women. I'm just like, really?
What?
Really? I'm just like
yes, because we all know those Black women wouldn't have been better to just have those Black women on board helping. You know, we got to marginalize them for the fragile white ones.
Well, the thing is to compare going up to you know, going to people, hey, you know, Hitler was a vegetarian or vegan, you know, maybe the KKK could, no, like, sorry, I don't want to interrupt, Ash, but just like trying to compare these two things, I'm outraged listening to your description of it.
I was
Same.
I would recommend you go and watch. She's made 3 videos thus far about intersectionality. She's supposed to be coming out with like a 4th one eventually, but it's just like, okay, you don't. It goes right back to, you don't understand this topic and you refuse to learn more about it, and like you're giving comfort to people who like don't know and are proud of not knowing. It's like, and it's not, unfortunately, it's not just a natural vegan. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of anti SJW. God,
Cough, vegan gains.
I'm with Captain Andy that I hate saying anti SJW because it's just so cringy, and it's just like,
Yeah, we need an alternative phrase for them.
We do.
Yes, and obviously the rationals doesn't work too, because you can't always put the TM or put enough irony in your voice when you say it.
I guess the problem is, well, veganism is kind of similar to feminism in that, like, while veganism can't really, like, intersectionality isn't applied quite the same way it is to feminism. It still involves an intersectional approach to veganism. Still involves being aware of different people's realities, and it's like, yeah, if you want people to join your cause, you should kind of give a shit about them and their realities. And if you you care about animals, that should include your fellow human animals. It's just,
yeah. Anyone else want to come in on that? Oh, looks like 8DX is going to go back to civilization, and it's been awesome. And when you do have to go out, well, you've made a great contribution. So thanks for all the things that you've had to say.
To be honest, I'm probably not going to be on long myself. I mean, I'm literally outside in the backyard because everybody's inside being loud, and the bugs are just fucking surrounding me right now, so.
I'm getting eaten alive.
Yep.
Could I just chip one thing in?
You can chip 20 things in.
Well, I'll start with one. Let's say this whole thing about people feeling they need to change makes me think of the medical model of disability and the social model. I don't know if you've heard of them. Basically, the medical model says I'm the problem. My CP is the problem. The social model says society is the problem. I don't have to change. The world has to change for me. And this seems to have a parallel to intersectionality.
Yeah, and I think, there's an issue there about just, basic accommodations and both physically and sort of metaphorically. So, as you were speaking and talking about what needs to change, so I'm the oldest one here, and I remember when they passed the Americans with Disabilities Act and the impact that it had just on the physical spaces in the United States, because streets had mandatory curb cuts. You had to have a wheelchair accessible entrances to public spaces. You had to have certain widths of hallways so that people could move around. And these changes were introduced, and they were kind of a pain, in terms of the modifications. But as things went forward, it's a very natural part of American architecture now to have in every public building a wheelchair accessible ramp. Which sometimes is really nice because you can count on it when you have something to carry, like a suitcase or whatever. You don't have to worry about it. Then when I went to the University of Essex, it was built in the 1960s, and it was built kind of on this sort of rise in the land, in the natural landscape, such that when you come in on a floor, you might come in on floor 5 because there's already 4 floors beneath you, even though for you it's like the ground level of that square. And I had in my master's year, a fellow student who was used a wheelchair she had limited mobility, but to get for any long distances, she had to use a wheelchair. And she had to leave for class 20 minutes before it started because she would have to go into one part of the levels of them because they weren't connected. They were different buildings with different elevators, and you had to get into the right floor to get into the right elevator to get up to that building. She had to go like down to the ground level where the parking was and go into part of a road in order to get into another part of the building that would take her in the right elevator to get to the room she needed. And I would walk with her occasionally in class if we bumped into each other or met up beforehand. She had to do that every single time she went to class. And it was so frustrating for her and demeaning to be like, down in a parking lot with her wheelchair, trying to, wait for traffic on her way to class. And it made me see how much the people who designed that building never even considered somebody who was not completely perfectly able-bodied, even on crutches, that your life sucks on that campus, let alone somebody who's wheelchair bound. And it struck me how grateful I was for the Americans with Disabilities Act being passed when it did, because of it's taken for granted now that you can get that kind of access. And being able to see something from someone else's point of view like that, whether it's through issues of disability or trans issues, you just have to kind of walk in somebody else's shoes for a while. Or in my case, like have somebody who you know and see what they have to live with. If you are open to that, then it's really hard to be a dick about things that change the world to make it a better place that don't hurt you and yet help other people immensely.
Yeah, it's like I'm part of a public engagement board at the University of Cardiff, and they were saying in terms of getting the courses accessible, nothing is more valuable than having people like me come in and say like, well, that needs to change and that.
Because
Yeah, yeah, I've lived it.
Yes. Yeah. Like the height of things, the width of things, the mobile, just having enough space in the bathroom to turn your wheelchair around. They have to have these things, and other personal experiences. I mean, it's really important. And that's why it's disappointing to see Laci perpetuate some of these, this misinformation or mischaracterizations, because she's not solving the problem in that way. She's creating more divisions. And if it's because she feels she's being attacked, so she's attacking back, well, again, like, how is that then promoting the dialogue she claimed she wanted to have?
Yeah, it's not.
All right, so do you guys want to hear about the VidCon thing?
Yeah, gossip is good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And just one more thing, white feminism sucks.
White feminism worst.
Yeah. The whole thing went down at VidCon, like one of the, I don't know what night it was, so it seemed like it happened toward the end of the conference, but what seems to have gone down, and this is based on hangouts that I've watched, there was a hangout with Blair White, Andy Worski, some guy I didn't recognize, and the woman in question. Oh, and Shoe and Head was also in the hangout. And I watched a hangout about the hangout from the Woolly Bumblebee and her Mr. him indoors, turning that British saying on its head. What seems to have gone down in a sort of a neutral discussion is that there's a smaller YouTuber called Crazy Hair, anti-feminist, anti-SAJW or anti-feminist, sort of looks up to Jeff Holiday and I think knows Memory to some extent. They were all at VidCon. She had socialized with them a little bit. Apparently, she was out laying down some sort of promo cards when she ran into Andy Worski and Francesca having a chat. And she asked if she could join, and Andy said yes, because there was somebody else there. And she sat in and listened to the conversation. The other thing that happened was apparently she was in a room and needed to upload some video from the Anita panel. Andy apparently wanted it, or somebody wanted a copy of it. I can't remember whom, but she asked if she could use a computer to upload it, and Chris Reagan, I believe it was, said yeah, she could, and opened up Google for her. And it was Andy Worski's computer. And he later freaked out about this because she then found him at this meeting. He had a whole conspiracy theory based on that. But what was quite, I guess, the thing that really kicked it all off was that this woman, crazy hair, got information from apparently Vernaculus what room Blair, there was a private suite where Blair and her boyfriend Shu and Armored Skeptic and Laci and Chris were, and those are the only people that I know were there. There might have been more, but they weren't named. Crazy Hair showed up at this suite. She had presents for everybody and alcohol, and like it was apparently June's birthday, and she gave her a present and wanted everyone to do shots and chatted for a while, but they didn't really like her and they didn't want her there. So eventually, I think it was Blair's boyfriend, like apparently chased her around with squirting perfume at her. I don't know. There was an accusation of that, and then got her to leave. When she left, as the door was swinging shut, they all kind of reacted the way teenagers would, like if the jocks and cheerleaders were in a room and the nerdy kids showed up, and then they all laughed at them as they left. So Crazy Hair got out her phone and recorded outside in the hallway what they were saying about her, because she was outside the door crying. But apparently you shouldn't feel too bad for her, because according to Woolie's husband, she's not that nice of a person when it comes to making videos about people. But anyway, it was found out by Blair that this recording, because she went and played it for people downstairs then at VidCon. So Blair heard that there was a recording of her and the other people in the room. So she started freaking out, and then Andy Worski got involved. And there was a hangout where it was Shu, this guy that I don't know, Blair, and Andy Worski, and they were all talking about it. And then Crazy Hair got on, and they sort of berated her for about 45 minutes, and she tried to defend herself and tell her side. And they argued and argued and argued. And yeah, and then she got a lot of hassle, and she got dogpiled, and she was very disillusioned with people that she thought were nice. The end.
Wow. That sounds like some proper high school shit. Like,
yeah, doesn't it?
Sounds ridiculous.
I can't believe you guys missed all that. It was hilarious to watch it all happen on Twitter.
I know. How did I miss this?
I'm confused. We are talking about a bunch of grown adults in their 20s and 30s, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Think so.
Good God.
Like, my 18-year-old sister is more mature than that. Like, and she literally turned 18 a couple of weeks ago. Like, she is 10 times more mature than what they just did. Like,
yeah, and I get it where sometimes if I'm at a conference or something and I want to meet up with people that I know, and someone wants to talk to me about something, and I don't have the time for this right now, you have to walk the line between being polite to somebody who's obviously being nice and wants your attention, and going and hanging out with people that you can relax with. But it seemed like if they would have just been halfway polite about this, none of this would have gotten to be a drama. Because in the end, it turned out, she, and then Andy Worski jumped down her throat for joining the conversation. And she said, I asked if I could join and you said yes. And then they were jumping her shit for showing up in the suite. And she's like, I knocked on your door and asked if I could come in and you said yes. So, they totally gave her mixed signals. They were sort of half being friendly to her, and then also trying to push her to the side, and oh my God, it's Michael Rollins. Make Michael row your boat, walking along Rollins. So anyway, yeah, that was the drama of VidCon from the anti side, besides the hugging stuff and the panel garbage human things.
Yeah, I have no idea who this person is, but from what you've told me, I feel really sorry for her, because that sounds mortifying and horrible. But like, obviously, I have no idea what she's like. This is just what I've gone on from what you've said. But
Yeah.
like,
Oh yeah,
well,
I mean,
horrible.
when I watched her video, she said, you know, didn't she made the reference to when like Kristi, Michael Rowlands, Tim, and I got together to discuss Bering, and Bering wanted to bully his way onto the hangout, and we were like, you weren't invited. This is our thing. No, and we're just gonna let him bully his way on and take it over and swear at all of us. Tim and Michael and Kevin then did a hangout with him. It was on the whole like the consent thing. It was about that TEDx video, and that's the one where he kicked Michael off the call. So you know, but she specifically referenced like that they were having this hangout, and I didn't want it to be like the Christy Winters hangout with Bering where he wasn't allowed to defend himself, and I asked to be let on, and they let me on. I'm like, but at the end she said, you know, I'm not going to go to VidCon next year because I don't want to be with those people. And I didn't leave the comment, but I thought about leaving the comment. Yeah, well, now you know why we didn't want Bering in the hangout, because sometimes there are people you just don't want to spend time with.
Exactly. And all they had to do was say, no, sorry, not right now. Like, that is literally it. Like, how many words was that? Like 5 or something? Like, it's not hard to get rid of someone nicely. I mean, you might feel bad about saying no, but it's better than saying yes than laughing them out the door.
I agree. Like, but you know, dicks are going to be dicks. Or ass hats are going to be ass hats if you don't want a gendered insult. I can go that way too.
Feelings don't matter, as they seem so obsessed with saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they are obsessed with their feelings, given how little regard they hold other people's.
Yeah. Theirs do, other people's don't.
Yeah. So that was a pretty, and then that Kevin went on a hangout with Andy Worski to talk about a few things, but this apparently came up, and that's when Blair jumped in on that hangout too. So that was the story.
Cool. I'm glad I know about that now, because it makes me laugh, and it also makes me think, like, what the hell? Like,
hey, so Michael, do you want to talk now? You're on mute, by the way. We can't hear you.
Myself. Hi, how's it going?
Yay! How you going?
Yay, Michael.
Organized.
Hey.
I'm currently organized, as you may be able to hear in the background there. So I saw that the link was up, and I was like, yeah, I'll just come and check in and say hi and say that that's what I'm doing, and then probably leave again.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, it is nice to see
you. Are we on the Are we live?
Well, we're recording, but we're not broadcasting.
Oh, that's cool. No problem. Yeah, I just thought I'd jump in and say hi because I missed y'all. I haven't talked to y'all in such a long time, so you know, here I am saying hi.
Yes, it sounds really good. Are you having fun at camp?
Oh, dude, it's like the most fun of my life. Because I have been, you know, in previous years I've been a guitar teacher, right? But this year I'm the head of the music department, so I'm like running everything, and I have to do stuff, and there's all the fun stuff, and it's just the most fun I've ever had. It's really, really fun.
Sounds amazing. I'm jealous.
So yeah, now that I don't get to make as many YouTube videos and stuff at the moment, so you know. But that's so good. Yeah,
when are you going to be back up making videos again? How many more weeks do we have to wait?
I mean, I've got 6 more weeks of camp, but I mean, I'm going to be uploading sort of intermittently across that. Like I was able to do some Logical Llama stuff. I want to do this Logical Llama reads Dangerous thing at some point, but I gotta get a hold of Dangerous, and then I don't know, some other stuff.
No, I loved your last logical. I loved your last Logical Llama. It's I don't know if you've had a chance to yet, but what you should do is upload it as a video on Twitter, because it's only like a 2-minute video, and because it's well worth. Or maybe cut off the last bit where you sing about getting money for Patreon for cheese.
Yeah.
But when you just start crying as Sargon, it's so funny.
Yeah. I think like, I mean, I stole the idea, I suppose, from. I mean, that's pretty much what I've done with all those ones. Is I've stolen the idea from other people, but I try to credit that in the fact that it says hashtag anti-feminist, less than anti-feminist or whatever. But it was from that comic. Link the comic because it's a really good comic. He follows me on Twitter now, and I follow him. It's got a bunch of panels, and each of the panels, it's like the three guys in the audience, like yelling at Anita, saying that she's a whore and a slut and an awful person, all that sort of stuff. And then right at the end, she says, whatever it is, human, and they're all background, and it's a fantastic little comic. And now that I think about it, I'm actually going to do that. I'm going to link the comic. So thanks for reminding me.
Yeah, no worries. It sounds hilarious. But yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, he just goes after her. He questions her sexual. Oh no, the Laci Green sexual assault. He's like, I wouldn't even rape you, and then he gets called a garbage human, and suddenly that's abuse. Like that harass. Oh God, yeah, don't even get me started.
I almost think that it's just a play that he's just doing it for the lols or whatever. I almost think that it's that. But I mean, either way, he's still a piece of shit. It's like you being a fucking child, ridiculous child.
Yes, well, I haven't done it yet, but I'm trying to convince Tim to do the YouTube asshole cover, but include garbage human in the refrain as well.
I'm a garbage human or something. but I just wanted to jump in and just say hi. So sorry for gate crashing, but
No, you're a great. It's not that sturdy a gate to be crashed. I'm sure we'll be able to set it up again after you're gone.
Yeah, I'd love to have an actual good conversation with you guys again soon. As soon as I can set it up, I'm sure there'll be a day off when I can actually do that. And I'm in Eastern Standard Time now, so it might be easier for a lot of y'all to do that. So, but yeah, thanks for putting up with me for 2 minutes. I hope you all have a good rest of the conversation. Much love.
Yeah. Okay, go rock out.
Have a good rest of your day.
Okay, see you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Oh, hey. 8DX. I always want to say XD for some reason. 8DX is back. You got more power, man. So now that Michael completely destroyed the flow of our conversation.
God damn it, Michael.
I think we were on drama, but if someone else has something they want to bring up. Dead air, dead air, dead air. Otherwise, you guys make me do all the lifting.
I can't think of anything. My mind's gone off the flow.
I was wondering if did any of you guys see God, I had to log off to see his original tweets, but the actor James Woods, he attacked the parents of this little boy who's very gender creative, is what his parents call it. Like he likes wearing makeup and skirts and dresses and stuff. He goes back and forth between those and like short and like quote unquote boys' clothes. And I can't even remember. Jesus Christ, I can't even remember what he said. I'll pull it up on the other web browser I use. Fudge.
Yeah, I think I saw a little bit about that. And, what seems to me is that the criticism that, you're raising your child with a specific outlook on life in terms of morals and values and what gender means and what sex roles are, and I don't approve of them, I don't know how you can't apply that to religion. You're taking your child who is an atheist and saying, there is this God, and this is what the God wants from you to do, and we're going to cut maybe parts off of your body if you're a boy and you're in a certain religion. I mean, I don't see the difference, in all honesty, between, say, religious indoctrination or education and the alternative worldview, the paradigm that these people are doing it. It's just a minority viewpoint. But were you able, while I was waffling, to track down the quote?
I am still okay. he posted the image. He posted the image of the little boy CJ with his parents at a Pride event, and he quote, "This is sweet. Wait until this poor kid grows up, realizes what you've done, and says both of you dismembered in a freezer in the garage."
What?
Wow.
Nice.
Wow.
Okay, so there's a reason I couldn't see this on my own Twitter profile because James Woods actually has me blocked. What a snowflake.
Wow, that's amazing.
What did
That's-
you say?
And I don't think he uses a block, but we actually did interact, and like he was just like, the mean liberal called me names. I'm blocking her. She hurt my
Hashtag
feelings.
blocked by Woods.
Oh.
The important thing is I don't dwell on it. I mostly just find it amusing.
Yeah, you're not
Um,
making a video about it complaining, are you?
But my thing is like, okay, so you can't handle you will block women you don't know a fraction your age because they call you out, but you will turn around and attack a child and his parents for like his parents don't have raise him with strict gender rules, and that's they're the worst parents ever. Like seriously, dude, screw you.
Yeah, that's just like it crosses so many lines, and he's, of course, his world is very limited. I have a friend whose kid is about, I don't know, 4 or 5, and he likes to throw on a dress and put on nail polish, and he's just playing. I mean, he doesn't have really strict gender binaries. He seems to have problems just with gender and pronouns as well. He refers to everyone as he. So, his perception of the world is not as distinct as ours is after how many years of our social conditioning. And because, it doesn't bother her, and he can go outside and do cartwheels and not wear underwear. He feels very free in his dress. He's happy. So for her, what does it really matter? And again, like, what's clothing? What is so threatening about a boy who likes to do things that are normally associated with women? I know I said it recently, but I'll say it again. When Eddie Izzard was on the Bill Maher late night talk show, a person thought he was giving a compliment by saying, well, I'm kind of a fundamentalist conservative, and my dad and I love your stand-up, and you're up in the stage wearing women's clothes. And Eddie Izzard says, no, they're not women's clothes. They're my clothes because I bought them.
Exactly.
And that's the kind of step that this is the social revolution. When I was growing up in the 90s as a 20-something, it was marriage equality was this issue. And what's really challenging people at their core, because the whole idea of gay people having sex, especially gay men having sex, was the ew factor that everybody focused on because they didn't think of gay people as people. And then when gay people started to come out of the closet and it was normalizing them as people, then it was your cousin, it was your coworker, it was your brother, it was your friend. And it stopped being just about sex and it became about love. And I think we're the same challenge now, more socially, especially in the last sort of 6 to 8 months, I think, on YouTube, talking about that uncomfortableness that people have because they find comfort in very strict gender norms and gender roles. And they're okay to move them within reason, for Western secular values to an extent. But there's a core there that we're hitting when we come to trans issues. But sorry, I'm the one who's waffling now. So if someone else wants to jump in on the clothing issue.
It reminds me of this TV program that I watched a while ago called The Secret Life of 5-Year-Olds. They had a group of boys and a group of girls come into like this nursery for a week or so, and they did they did kind of like social experiments with them, but like just as they were at school, basically. And one of the things that they did was, it was playtime, and they had 2 boxes, and they were split into the groups of boys and girls. And one of the boxes was blue, one of the boxes was pink, and whichever box the group chose, that was their box to play with. And they weren't allowed to play with the other person's box because this was the box that they chose. And so, being conditioned to be like boys like blue and girls like pink, the boys ended up choosing the blue box and the girls ended up choosing the pink box. And inside were what you would expect the other gender to be with. In the blue box, there was like dressing up for like princesses and like play makeup and stuff like that. And in the blue box, there were like builders' uniforms for kids and all that kind of stuff. And the girls got into it straight away. It's like, oh yeah, we're builders and stuff. And the boys were like, oh, we can't wear this, that it's girl stuff. And then the teacher was like, well, you have to play with that, or you don't play with anything for playtime because that's what you chose. And then when one of them put on a dress or something, they all kind of then started to play with it, and they really got into it, and they really loved it. And it's just like, parents and society have like, they've conditioned these 5-year-old kids to believe that dresses and princesses and makeup are just for girls. But once they realised that actually it's fun to play dress up with these like opposite gender clothing, they loved it. So it's just interesting how children as young as 5 have been conditioned to believe that blue is boys, pink is girls, dresses are girls, builders are boys, whatever. And seeing the little child at Pride who'd been raised like basically non-binary, or like raised however the hell they wanted to be raised, it's really refreshing, and I love that. And I know that if I ever have kids, I'm going to raise them in a situation where they can be whoever they want. Like, I'm pagan, I'm bisexual, and I like all sorts of things, but I'm not going to push all that onto my child. Like, they could be a Catholic, gay, I don't know, stripper if they wanted to be. Like, they could be anything they want, and I'll support them as long as they're not hurting anyone. And dressing in clothes that are traditionally for girls or boys is not going to skew my view of them. And I just think it's ridiculous that adults are like, oh, that child's going to hell because they're dressing in the wrong clothes. And it's just like, dude, they're kids, just let them be kids, let them wear whatever the hell they want to wear. It's just, yeah.
Can I come in here?
Yeah, go for it.
I've got a kid. She's 12 now. You know, I was kind of into the whole, you know, we won't differentiate, we won't do that stuff. But the society I'm in and the family around is, you know, everything is heavily gendered. But, you know, I try to talk about, for instance, you know, are you into girls? Are you into boys? How do you feel? How are you? And mostly she's gone with the sort of the normal things. But, you know, over the years, then there are some things like we go into a toy shop and she's like, she doesn't want all these pink, you know, the pink aisle in the shop. But she does want some of them who are, you know, say the My Little Pony toys. That's kind of girly. That's the girly aisle, but that's what Dad introduced her to, you know, My Little Pony. And so her favorite color is blue right now, but she doesn't have a problem, you know, wearing dresses or being feminine or anything else. It's just for me, it's been like a complete, different from my upbringing, which is Catholic family. So all the gender roles are hard in stone. You can't change anything. And here's just like, let her grow up. She's in this society that she is in now, but she also knows that she doesn't have to be afraid to say, okay, I want blue, I want Spider-Man, or I want whatever else. She can choose her own clothes. She can choose her own colors, whatever, and she can also come out in pink and in a gray dress. That's no problem. But she the point where I feel I can have some kind of conversation about these things is where if you want good shoes to be able to walk about the countryside, those aren't gendered. Those are for everyone. Girls can walk, girls can do sports, girls can climb. She's in a climbing class, which surprisingly has a lot of girls in it as well. They want to climb up the walls and learn what it's like to fall from 3 meters height. And it's like, I can't change the society I'm in, but I can tell my kid, these are the opportunities, and don't be afraid to say what you want. And I'm not going to pressure you into being some sort of rainbow whatever, but I'm going to say, this is not just for boys, this is not just for girls. Pick what you want, and mainly we'll do things together, and whatever you find interesting.
Yeah, I think that not just for is the main point here. It's not about forcing boys to be like girls or girls to be like boys, but to let girls know that things aren't just for boys, and for boys that some things aren't just for girls.
And I'm gonna be having, like, we had a kind of menstruation talk. She's getting older, it's not yet, but there are going to be other talks about sex and about expectations and things. And just want to, I always want to let her know, whatever happens, I'm here for you, and you can choose what you feel comfortable with. What's your kind of thing?
You're an awesome dad.
Yeah. Awesome divorced dad.
Well, if being an awesome dad is important, whatever situation it is, I think a lot goes for knowing that your parents love you and are there for you, even if they aren't always around, that they're a phone call away or a text away, and that you can, and having that trust, especially as the teenage years come and more challenges and more hard truths are going to, things when you're little, when they're little, there aren't the kind of, big moral questions. Don't steal things from the shop without paying for them, that kind of stuff. But heartbreak, that one's a little bit harder for, I think, parents to deal with, and, crushes and things like that. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, Ted, you haven't said much for a bit. Do you have any thoughts that you want to get out?
No, I've just been enjoying the company.
Oh, sorry. Can you mute yourself? Because I can't hear Ted. Yeah, sorry. Can you start again?
So I mostly been enjoying the conversation, but I think boys can be boys, girls can be girls, but also they can be anything they feel comfortable with. To stop, don't prescribe one sex has to be a certain gender, I guess.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think someone some story about is jumping rope something boys do, and the question was, well, are you doing it? And his son said yes. He's like, well, then it's something boys do. Things aren't masculine and feminine because of society. They're done by men if men are doing them, and that's the difference. I remember in the States when Target made its toy aisles gender neutral, some people freaked out. Like, What, you don't know the child you want to buy a gift for well enough to know what kind of toy they like? Do you have to be gendered in terms of like, oh, here are girl things I can choose from. She's a girl. She must like something in here.
I also remember when I started experimenting buying jeans because I find buttons very difficult. The way women's jeans are buttoned, I found women's jeans a lot easier than men's jeans.
And if they fit, they're your jeans.
Exactly.
There was a line in the TV show Psych that I kind of liked. Kevin Sorbo, I think, was on playing a bounty hunter, and the main character was trying to look up to him and stuff, but Kevin Sorbo was having none of it. And he said, the next time when you wear your outfit, get a proper outfit, like a bounty hunter's outfit. I'm sure a men's small would fit you. He's like, actually, I take a women's large. I was like, I kind of admire that as a comeback, just gonna own that. Yeah, I might not be big and brave, but I fit better in a woman's large.
Nice.
I wanted to bring up, I don't have kids myself, but I have 4 brothers, 1 older, 3 younger, and so we've all been brought up that I remember my older brother and I, when it came to toys, we had everything. We had action figures, we had trucks, we had Legos, we had dolls. They made boy Cabbage Patch Kids back then too, so both he and I had Cabbage Patch Kids, and all our younger brothers were the same. Like we got a good mix of everything. We grew up watching the same shows and everything. Back when it was just me and my older brother, we one of our favorite shows was Ninja Turtles. Yeah, so I think it's important for kids just to get a good mix of everything, and so they'll pick what they like. I did have for some reason I had this weird idea from the time I was 5 that pants were for boys, which was weird because my mom wore pants almost every day, so I don't know.
Yeah, I was more of my family was Catholic too, although that didn't really enter into the gender roles in our family, but my family was very, very gendered in terms of how domestic chores were divvied up. It was a very classic sort of, if we get together for Thanksgiving or Easter, more of a family holiday, or Christmas Day, we'd go around and have meals. The women would be in the kitchen making all of the food. The guys would sit in the living room watching TV and talking. And then everyone would come to the table. And, a man would sit at the head of the table and lead things and cut, present the food like he'd made it. And then we'd all eat. And then all the women would go back to the kitchen and wash all the dishes. And the guys would go back in the living room. They didn't do anything.
I've been fortunate enough to grow up in like a household that's been more egalitarian, shall we say, about that. Like, it helps that my dad likes cooking and is a really good cook, and my mom doesn't. Like now that we're all older, she actually really likes getting reservations to go out to eat for Thanksgiving and stuff.
Oh, right, yeah. But as growing up, then my mom didn't go to college, and it wasn't. She was aware of feminism in the 1960s and 70s when advertisements used to be for women and for men, and certain jobs you look up for the women, like secretary and receptionist, and then men's job, store manager, those kinds of days. But she herself wasn't like part of the consciousness raising movement or anything like that. So when I started to discover feminist theory, the first thing you do is kind of look around your whole life. And this is when you just sort of see this, oh my gosh, this is exactly what my family is like. And yeah, that's when you get sort of the intellectual shifts of critique and power relations, and also who does the labor and why, and why is the way it was always done the best way. Now I have to say my family isn't like that anymore, especially as my siblings and I have started dating and bringing home more feminist guys. Like the men have joined in with clearing the table or coming in and helping with even if taking over part of the dish making. So I've seen the transition to more egalitarianism, but clearly when when the older generations, when you go back to the more family things where it's, hosted at an older family member's house, the gender roles are more solid. But I see that in the younger generations that that's changing. And it's not like it wasn't like there was a big feminist debate that happened in my family. It's just, at the end of the dinner, the guy, the boyfriend of my stepsister or myself would just stand up and start clearing the table.
Mm-hmm.
And then start loading the dishwasher and talk to people while he did it. And that was all it took. It just was normal. And because, my mom wasn't going to say, no, don't help clean,
Of course not.
And then, of course, you bring him to the bigger, then all the guys are helping, the younger guys are helping out. And then the older guys are like, well, yeah, I guess I can, so it's just like this, it was interesting to watch the gradual transition over time.
For sure.
Anyone else, any thoughts on that? And Jody, you haven't spoken for a bit. Or Ted, yeah, did you want to say something?
Luckily, think cooking wise, both my parents are good at cooking different things. So growing up, everything was 50-50. And if anything, washing up was more case of socializing. Like if my uncle was around, Dad would wash up with him, or if my aunt was around, Mum's sister, Mum would wash up with her. Washing up was a more talking time than a matter of gendered chores, I think.
Yeah, with my grandparents, one of my sets of grandparents, I remember, growing up in the late 70s and 80s when I would visit them. Sometimes my parents would go away and I'd need to stay overnight at, their house, at one of their houses. My grandfather, when a show would end, he'd go, Francis, change it to channel 9. And she would get up from her chair and go across the living room and change it to change the channel for him. No, I don't want to watch that. Change it to 11. She was literally his remote control.
Wow.
And that was just normal for them.
I see things like that and just think, why?
Yeah. He was the man of the house. He was the king of his castle. That was, Mad Men. They got married. When they got married, one of the sort of the gifts they got was, like a female cow. So we were talking about like pretty rural and parochial sort of lifestyles, even in the Midwest, in the 1940s, I guess it would have been, early 50s. Yeah, probably late 40s. So.
Well, I was either unlucky or lucky enough to grow up in kind of an all-female household. Like from the age of 6, it was just me, my mum, and my little sister. So it was just us who did stuff. When we went to my gran and granddad's house, I can't remember a lot about my granddad because he died when I was 10, but I remember he would cook sometimes. I remember one time he made us a Chinese meal that he spent the entire day preparing. We weren't allowed to go in the kitchen because he was in there preparing this Chinese meal from scratch. And I think Mum's told me that he used to enjoy cooking quite a bit. But like I said, he died when I was 10, so then it was just me, my mum, my sister, and my gran. So again, all-female household, so there weren't really any gender roles going on there. It was just, we're here, so we have to do this. And like, if my male cousins came to stay with my gran, and we were also there, it wasn't a case of, oh, the girls do the washing up and the boys sit down. It's like, okay, you did the washing up last night, so you can do the washing up tonight, or something, regardless of gender, which was good. But yeah, I don't really have much experience within my own family of gender roles because of that. I'm not quite sure what my dad's side of the family would be like because I haven't spent a whole lot of time with them. But I have a feeling, knowing what I know about them, I have a feeling gender roles would be there. I don't really remember the last time I was with them. Anything like that happened. I just remember them being very racist and sexist. So I have a feeling they would probably more likely the women do the washing up and cooking and stuff and the men not, but I don't know. But yeah, that's my take on it from my personal experience.
Well, everyone's a lot more gender liberated than me. Unless 8DX, you want to talk a little bit about gender norms when you were growing up and how you decided to make the changes to the gender values you're passing on, modeling to your daughter. Oh, you're still on mute. Oh, he's going outside, I think. That's why. Okay, so we have to fill for a little bit. But he always has something interesting to say, and he doesn't do too many hangouts, so I think it's worth getting him in a position where we can hear what he has to say.
Oh,
all right.
Where is the mute button?
Oh,
Got
I
it.
can tell you after this. Yeah. So yeah, you're growing up in gender roles and realizations of them.
For me, like I'm a guy. I have 3 brothers, so our household was always like guys, and we were taught as children we had washing up duties and vacuuming duties and whatever else, but it really took like my girlfriend now and some other people looking at it. Like my mom basically is and was my dad's caretaker. She does all the cooking, all the washing, all sorts of things, and he just sort of fogies about in his sweaters and stuff. And even as a child, like when we had a problem, we went to mom, right? And when there was an injury, then we went to dad. He did the blood stuff. Someone's got an injury, wounded, or whatever. Big wounds for children. My finger is, but yeah, I kind of grew up in an all male household with mom who did everything for everyone at all times, right? But I think we kind of had it a lot better than usual than other people because dad worked from home and there was a kind of an equality in things being done in the home, right? But it didn't prepare me for like an ordinary life. What you're gonna do? Because I'm from a Catholic background, so that all the time that like mom was cooking and dad was being very intelligent and saying things, and it's exactly what I'm doing here, is like pontificating about how things should be. Then at the same time, when I got married and I had my kid and I had to have my family, and I had to look for like, how am I going to be a good dad? How am I going to be a good husband? And I had this kind of Catholic catechism telling me, you should be the head of the family. You should sort of lead. You should make the money. You should do the things that, you should put up the shelves or whatever else. And it's really a kind of a stunting and like reductionist view of how your role in the family should be. So later on, like now I'm divorced, so I've got a girlfriend, and we try to split things 50-50 and try to say, like, you're good at this, you do this. I'm good at this, I do this. Like, I don't mind taking out the garbage, but at the same time, don't mind going out shopping. I don't mind being the remote control or whatever else is needed. So it's not that bad. It's you can make out of whatever you come out of. You can try and make an equitable family unit or situation out of that. I think that's important. And of course, for me, it was like getting over Catholicism, getting over the what you're supposed to be in society as a man, and saying, like, no, I'm not good at those things. I'm going to do the things I'm good at, which is going shopping or whatever else. So and yeah, we're gonna, me and my girlfriend, we're gonna bitch at each other who's been washing up more, or who's not tidying up, or who's doing this and who's doing that. And I was like, no, I did it last week. Okay, but now I'll do it twice, and then you do that, and then she's got it. And we've got a cat, which was her cat, so we take turns changing litter. And I buy the food because I go shopping most often, but she gives me her food stamps from work. It's a Czech thing. It's not like the American food stamps, but we divide things. And I think the biggest barrier to having a good family is all the prejudice, all the sort of gender roles that are just ingrained in people, and it's ingrained in how people talk about things, and what are you supposed to do or not supposed to do. How are you being lazy, or are you just tired? You just come from work, so you're tired. So like we're interestingly, like, we more often have conversations about she's tired coming home from work because she has to commute to work and spends a lot more time there than me, and I commute as well, but I also work from home, so I have more time to just, okay, I'll do the washing up, you're gonna go to the shops, and what's for dinner? So yeah, that's my background, and it's difficult to find what's the best way to do things, but I think if you're open to talking to the other person there and kind of building something that works for everyone, then I think that's a good approach.
Yeah, I think so too. Ash has got to go, so do you want to say goodbye? Any last thoughts?
Yeah, just want to say good night and peace and love to everyone, except for James Woods. Wherever you are, you can go choke.
There you go. Yeah, that was a pretty crappy thing you wrote. All right, my dear. It was lovely to have you on. On the on the issue of gender roles, one other thing, if you don't mind. You already had on back. Okay, I was going to ask about making a conscious decision to before you headed back in, making a conscious decision to raise your daughter without the kinds of expectations that you found a stumbling block yourself later in life.
I think for me, the first thing that was a stumbling block was Catholic morality surrounding sex and relationships. And she's not yet that old, so that hasn't come into play. But all the time, every conversation we have about this, about what she is, what she can do, what she can't do, should not be gendered. There's no reason to say you're a girl, so you can't go out there, you can't do this. It's like, what do you want? What are you interested in? Like I said, like watching My Little Pony, and that in a way is a kind of gender crossing, breaking down gender roles, and how you can be a pony, a librarian, or or an interesting person, all different kind of people. But at the same time, we play video games, we watch films, we do all kinds of things, and I never tell her, like, you can't do this. This isn't for you. She's doing rock climbing now. No one said that's not for girls. You know, no one said you should be, I don't know, thinking about dresses to buy, whatever else.
Yeah. On that,
at the same time, it's difficult because society you live in is structured in a certain way, and a child in school who's your child, you don't want to be an outcast, right? You don't want to be the weird kid who's got an English speaking parent and, you know, is in English lessons, has no problem, and is somehow different. So you also want to interact with other children, and other children have interests, and, you know, they wear certain clothes or they do certain things. So I'm just waiting what will happen in the next few years. How will we have to sort of fight against the expectations of society right now, because she's 12 now, so it hasn't been such an issue, but it will be like, you don't talk to boys, or if you talk to a boy, then you're like dating or something. So that's something I'm waiting for, and it'll be interesting.
Yes, yeah. When back in my living in the States days, there was a time that I had a second job. I had a lot of second jobs actually through full employment, but I worked at a place called J.C. Penney's, and I was in the coats and dresses, long dresses, evening dresses, formal wear department. And every time there was homecoming or prom or something, you know, you'd get a lot of mother and daughters coming in to try on prom dresses, or the various other kinds of gowns that we had on offer. There was a younger, she was maybe 16, I want to say. She was with her mom. They were shopping for dresses. They pulled 4 or 5 off of the rack, and I think I'm going to ask you to mute, if that's okay. Just 8, if I could have you mute. Yeah, thanks. Sorry. If you want to come back in after this, that's great. But so the daughter went in, tried on the first dress. It was fine or whatever. Came back in the second dress. The third dress was this fire engine red, American fire engine red, form-fitting, sleeveless, armless. Just basically, it was sort of like, you know, it started sort of above the breasts. You know, it was like a swimsuit or a mermaid kind of thing. A little bit low cut, and this girl was stunning. I mean, she just looked amazing in that dress. And the mother kind of didn't react to it, and I was like, my jaw was almost dropping. like, what is going to happen now? Because if I came out in a dress like that, my mom would have been like, there is no way you were going out in that dress. She looked like she could be on the cover of a magazine. Like, seriously, just absolutely stunning. And so, well, what do you think? She's like, oh, it's a little tight. And I went, okay. And she went in, she tried on the 4th dress, and the 5th dress was just like, she lit up, and it was the one she wanted, and it had whatever. It wasn't the red dress. And the way that the mother didn't react, didn't say anything, just asked her daughter what she thought of it, and then kind of nodded in agreement when she gave, you know, some kind of negative feedback, was so different from kind of what my expectations of how that interaction would have gone. Because I think if she would have blown up or said that's too sexy, or you can't go out looking like that, that's when the whole psychology of, you know, girls and their bodies, and, you know, on the one hand, we're judged by how, well, part of what some men think our value is how attractive they find us. But then again, if we try to look attractive, then we're asking for it, and we're the problem, you know. So I think it's a tightrope to walk with teenagers, especially as they become sexually active. And I think the way that that mother handled it obviously made impression on it, because literally like 20 years later, I'm still in awe at how well I think she handled that situation. So I don't know, Jody, you have any thoughts on that, because you haven't had a chance to speak for a while?
I don't know. I think I'm getting pretty tired, and my mind
Yeah.
isn't working very
Fair
well
enough.
right now. So I think I might actually head off. 'Cause it's 12:30 now, and it's getting rather late.
Fair enough. Maybe we'll call it an end then. So this has been a lovely chat. We went through a lot of very interesting topics. But before I go, just if anyone else wants to say, a few last thoughts. Yeah, Ted.
Yeah, and I'm like Jody, falling asleep. Even though I had a strong cup of coffee before, but let's do this again soon.
Yes, hopefully it wasn't me putting everyone to sleep there at the end.
Yeah.
8DX.
Oh, no, definitely.
8, did you want to say something? A wave?
You want to hear the pop music here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great chat. And as always, the white guy comes in and talks a lot.
I really appreciated your contributions.
Thanks.
All right, guys. Well, then, I will. When I end the broadcast, then I guess I'll just stay on air for a bit, and we'll say goodbye properly, and then I'll end the call. So, to everyone who stayed to the end to watch, thanks so much. Appreciate it. I've been Kristi, and these guys have been awesome, and so have you. All right. Bye-bye.